Hey guys, welcome to the first video in a series of videos I'm going to do discussing my history with gaming in general and some of my favorite games from all the way back to the NES to now in 2014. So there's a lot of ground to cover. The first game we're going to talk about, and these aren't in any particular order. It just so happens I'm replaying this game, and I decided I wanted to talk about it. So we're going to kick it off with Fallout New Vegas. Um, Fallout 3 was a big game. You traversed through the Capital Wasteland and through DLCs. You ended up in a spaceship, Pittsburgh, Point Lookout, and you had some further adventures in the Capital Wasteland, but we're not here to talk about that game. Fallout New Vegas, though, when it was announced, given what Bethesda had done with Fallout 3, uh, for fans of that game, New Vegas seemed like a win-win. It was a no-brainer. In Obsidian, they didn't really change the core gameplay that was established by Fallout 3. The basic combat system was just about identical, as was the returning VAT system. But what Obsidian chose to do instead was to accessorize the established combat by adding alternate ammos, new weapons, more variety to the melee weapons. And this variety comes with a few compromises though for Fallout 3 players. There's more emphasis that's placed on choosing the right skills and being committed to those skills. And while you won't likely be able to do a no kill run through this game, there is a variety of choices to accomplish most of the goals, given that your skill points are allocated correctly. Um, Additional to that, the game had ammo crafting of various different ammo types. There was hardcore mode, which added variety to the formula that was already established. Hardcore mode, though, was something when I originally played the game, I was like, I don't know about that yet. But I eventually gave it a shot, and it is hardcore. Ammo has weight. You can dehydrate. Instead of being healed instantly, you heal over time and things like that. And it's cool. I mean, it's kind of like what you would imagine being in that situation would be like. So, I mean, it was something that was different and neat, and it really added to the game itself. Uh, but this isn't a review or anything. This is just a discussion of the game. So I'm not gonna get too in depth with that. And the point of the video is to talk about what I took away from the game. I guess it's sort of a review. But anyways, I'm rambling. When booting up the game, I originally found the browns and the oranges the of the Mojave Wastelands to be a little bit warmer and a stark contrast to the greens and blues I became accustomed to during my time in Fallout 3. And at first, the game didn't seem to be as big to me, but once I got going and once I got out of Good Springs and I really got into the game, that misconception soon vanished as I ventured out further into the Mojave. I found there wasn't a lack of anything to do while you were playing this game. I mean, and it's both a positive and negative. After a while, it seems that everybody you come across provides you with a mission or they have a problem that needs solved, and your quest log can fill up pretty quickly, and it almost feels overwhelming at times. But once I figured out how to manage my time a little bit better, then I started to really find the game opening up, and I had a blast. Also, there was a lot more dark comedy than there was in Fallout 3, and Fallout 3 had some outright like weird shit. I mean, Mothership Zeta, for instance. But Obsidian really peppered New Vegas with some humor throughout, and for the most part, it worked. Like the Repcon facility mission with the ghouls and the rockets, and the dialogue is well written. The voice actors read well, and I mean, there were some big names in this game. You had Matthew Perry, who was surprisingly low keyed and reined in as Benny. Danny Trejo was your companion ghoul, Raul. And then there was a ton of other people like Zach Levy, Michael Dorn, Chris Christopherson, Michael Hogan, Wayne Newton, Robin Atkin Downs, Felicia Day. I mean, there's a ton of fucking people in this game, but they all breathe life in the characters that are memorable. And I found myself either loving certain characters or completely despising them. And at the end of the day, characters like Cass, Veronica, Mr. House, the creepies at the White Glove Society, Boone, And plenty of the other inhabitants of the Mojave stuck with me far longer than the characters in Fallout 3, outside of maybe Fox. And but I mean, just rattling off those few names that I did there is more names than I can remember of the companions and some of the side characters in Fallout 3. But and it's not all sunshines and daisies and flowers. There's a lot of downsides to this game. Mostly had to do with the Gamebryo engine that the game was built on. And while impressive when the Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Fallout 3 released, the engine really started to show its age here. Humans and some of the creature animations were sometimes stiff and clunky. The landscapes, while vast and expansive, were not as impressive as they were in the aforementioned games. But at the time, I played the game on the 360, so it was still impressive. But now in 2014, going back, especially after playing Skyrim, it really, graphics-wise, the art assets really start to show their age. But thankfully, this was the last game with the Gamebryo engine because characters would often glitch out, quests could be made unfinishable, the game would crash, and while some of the bugs eventually got patched away, it was clear that Gamebryo had to go. And while frustrating, bugs and the glitches didn't detract enough from the overall experience, at least for me, to ruin the game because what the game did right, it did right so well that after a while you just didn't care about the crashes. And while things like this weren't completely eliminated in, say, Skyrim, um, there was some vast improvements. I sank a lot of hours into Fallout 3, so many that I still blame that game for the demise of my first Xbox 360. And for me, New Vegas was no different. I completed as many quests as I could, and sometimes I would just putz around and gamble and try to craft ammo just to try them out. And while the ending didn't stick with me as much as the ending of the previous game did, I did enjoy my time in the Mojave Wasteland far more than I enjoyed the Capital Wasteland. And that's saying something because while I identified with the locations in Fallout 3 more, having visited DC and uh, being from and living north of Pittsburgh, the setting of New Vegas combined with some of the best characters I'd ever come across at the time, it left an impact and it felt like a fully realized world, more so than Fallout 3 did. And Fallout 3 did do a lot of things right, but New Vegas just seemed like it had a better core writing team behind it that really made everything feel alive in the setting. Um, and while I ventured down roughly the same path in subsequent playthroughs of the previous game, with New Vegas, I kind of found myself trying out all the different things. I've sided with House, the NCR, fought for an independent Vegas. I still haven't brought myself to side with the Legion anytime I've played the game. But, every time I played it, your core experience is going to be the same. But there was always like random events that I never encountered the previous time I played the game. And that to me was awesome because it felt fresh and new every time I played the game. And at the time, not being real experienced with like these huge open world games, probably Fallout 3 being the only one I was really uh, had spent a lot of time on, it was something that just blew me away because I mean you knew what to expect, but every once in a while there would be something to throw a monkey wrench into your plans, like the Deathclaw where there was never a Deathclaw, or some kind of random event where before there was just tumbleweed and maybe a giant ant or something. So I mean, it always had enough that was different to kind of keep you on your toes a little bit. And I've gone in, full guns blazing, trying to be sneaky and stealthy, and uh, not using assault rifles and sticking with pistols, or just using energy weapons once I could get to that point in the game. I mean, there's always something that you can do to vary it up a little bit, and that was present in the previous game too. But I mean, it was something that I found to be a little bit more enjoyable in this one, um, just because of the variety afforded to me with the amount of weapons that were in this game. The combat, though, like I still am not a fan of the odds of you hitting something or a random kind of like a dice roll, because it you can't play these games like a first-person shooter. You can aim and you can be dead on, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to hit anything. But at the same time, it adds a little bit of uh, what if to your combat scenarios. But at the same time, like I said, it can still kind of piss you off a little bit. But I'm hoping, with we all know Fallout 4 is going to be coming, and I'm hoping that between what was established with Fallout 3 and then what Obsidian did to refine some elements and add to the series with New Vegas, hopefully Bethesda finds a way to amalgamate some of these things and continue building on the foundation. Because while Fallout New Vegas is a very good game, and arguably to some people, uh, it could be considered better than Fallout 3. A lot of people still consider Fallout 3 better, but there's not really a jump. It kind of feels like a huge expansion to Fallout 3. Nothing's really connected to that game, but at the same time, it's not. Rather than being like an evolutionary step forward in the series, it feels more like a refined iteration of the series. The same basics, just with a different story and a different setting. And that's okay though, because as long as there's something there that breathes life into the game, and like I said, the overall experience between the writing, the story, the characters, the voice acting makes the game so good that when it would bug out, I didn't mind so much. And that's an experience that very few games can provide you. In fact, I could probably count on one hand how many games are so good that you can overlook their bugs. And that's why this game continues to be something that every once in a while it throws its rope out and lures me back in, and I get back into it. And that's what I'm doing here. But I'm not going to try to make these like a half-hour video on, as a review or anything like that. So this is just the dabbling of the feet into the water and see how it goes. But like always, guys, I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, bye, guys.